There we go. All right, welcome everybody to the summer engagement training for RAD Vermont and RAD New Hampshire, all RAD together. Really excited to have you here this evening. We are going to spend this evening really going through all of the things you're going to need to know to get out in your communities and base build and do community engagement, knock on doors, table at community events, be at community events. So should be a really fun training that we'll have this evening. We are recording, as I said just before, so if you don't want to be on the recording, turn off your camera. We won't be recording the breakout rooms, so don't worry about those being recorded. We do have closed captions available. If you don't see them already, you can go down to the little CC at the bottom bar and turn them on if that is something that would help you keep track of what's going on. We are hoping to have a meeting that's really interactive. We're going to hear from some people about some of our campaigns. We're going to be doing some breakout rooms, some role playing. Lots of fun things are going to happen. After 16 months of being in the pandemic and doing a lot of virtual stuff and sitting in Zoom rooms like this, we are finally feeling comfortable enough with all of the vaccination and everything else that's going on to get back in real life, do real life events, and really make sure that we're meeting people where they are. So door knocking and really getting to people that are in the community. We're really excited for this work to be happening as part of not only RAD's work, but as part of Vermont Renews and New Hampshire Renews. The Renews campaigns are our campaigns to make sure that there's a just transition and to really find solutions for the climate crisis. And you'll hear later what kind of campaigns we're talking about, but hopefully you've heard about them before, and if not, we're excited to really let you hear about the campaigns that we're doing. A brief 1-minute version of the agenda so everyone knows what's coming. We're going to start with a breakout room activity just to kind of warm everybody up. And then we're going to talk about the campaigns that we're working on and how urgent some of the work that we're doing is. We're going to talk about training and tactics, things that we can do on doors, tabling events. We're going to do some fishbowl and listen in on a canvassing conversation. And then finally, we're going to give you a chance to do your own role play in breakout groups so you can practice what you've just learned. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first person learning the first section, which is one of our summer interns from University of Vermont, Amanda Roche.
Hey everyone, my name's Amanda, and as Dan said, I'm an intern for the summer, and we just kind of wanted to take the time to say I know these last 18 months with COVID have been really crazy and stressful, especially for the organizers. So we just kind of wanted to take this time to do a mental health and general check-in with everyone. I just want to emphasize that you only have to share if you're comfortable. I just have a series of questions for you guys to discuss in breakout groups of 3. When I copy and paste the questions into the chat, you guys should copy them and paste them somewhere else because they'll disappear after we break out into groups. And once you're in groups, you guys can just kind of pick someone out to report back on everyone's experiences. So let me just pop this in the chat. And yeah, so I just really want everyone to know, you only have to share if you're comfortable, and hopefully you guys can kind of bond and check in with each other.
All right, thank you, Amanda. I am going to go ahead and open the breakout rooms now. There we go. And how long do they have, Amanda?
I think they have a couple minutes to just kind of talk and stuff.
All right, we'll see you all in a couple minutes. I'll give you a warning when we're getting close. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much. I'm hoping those were great conversations. We do want to do a little bit of a report back. We'll have our Vermont Leadership Development Coordinator, Sophie Bodnar. Would you like to lead a little report back?
Yeah, happy to. Hey everyone. I hope that you had some good conversations in our smaller breakout groups. I know I did. I got to chat with Dahlia and Amanda, but just curious if there are a couple of us who want to share some highlights from those conversations. If you want to come off mute, I think we're a small enough group. Did anything stand out to you? Irene, I see you came off mute.
Yes, I was in a group of introverts. So I'm not sure what any of us are doing here except come out of our shells a little
Introverts
more.
are welcome.
Yes, but we're all very comfortable in our houses and not receiving canvassers and not being canvassers, I think was what I got. So we can definitely make progress here tonight, hopefully, and come out of our shells a little more. We kind of liked the COVID shutdown. And what I don't like is canvassers looking for money, I guess, and that happens a lot, right? I'm always looking for information. That was the second question. What do you want from a canvasser? So I try not to ask for money, and I hope not to be asked for money at my door. And the other folks in my group had pretty secure locations where they didn't get approached by people. So that's it from ours.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing that, Irene.
You're welcome.
I can report back from Tom, Ben, and I. Yeah, so we just kind of talked a little bit about the looming threat of maybe like a Delta variant, and the struggles of would a society be able to put up with like another round of like mask mandates or lockdown, seeing how poorly it went for a lot of those crybabies the first time around. Sorry, did I say that? Yeah, and I think what we talked about for like canvassers, what is that canvasser trying to do for me at the door? When they're asking you for money, like Irene said, yeah, like it's such a one-way transaction. They want money, but when I'm at the door for my tenant canvassing, I'm trying to actively improve their conditions. To say, hey, is your landlord not fixing stuff for you? Are they jacking up your rent every time your lease is up? Well, this is how we can fight back. Oh, do you want a quick define canvassing to our listeners? Yeah. Does anybody want to take a crack at it?
I can do it. So for those listening, canvassing it can be going door to door to talk to people in your community. It can be clipboarding at an event. LeMay, am I getting it all?
I mean, yeah.
Canvassing is talking to people, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Talking to people where they are.
I would add phone banking into that, Liz, as well.
Awesome. Thanks. Love defining terms. Make sure we're all on the same page.
That was a takeaway from our breakout, was that people want options. How can I get involved? I can't do this, but I can do this. I don't want to do this, but I do want to do this, or I'm willing to do this. So how can I get involved?
Awesome. I think we have time for one more share back. If there's anything that's bubbling to the surface for any of you.
Yeah, I can go. So in our group, I talked to Dahlia and Sophie, and we kind of just talked about how like draining social experience, like social interactions can be, especially like after how long we've been like kind of inside because of COVID and everything, and kind of how we're gonna have to like kind of get comfortable like standing like not so far away from each other, because before COVID, like we never did like 6 feet apart, and so like usually when canvassers come to your door, they're a lot closer, but now it's kind of like, should we take a step back and stuff. And so yeah, we just kind of talked about that, and how like we're also excited to get out from like behind a screen, and like start having actual in-person interactions, no matter how draining.
Yes, perfect segue. But yeah, thank you all for sharing, and for all the thoughts that weren't shared, honoring those too. Thanks for engaging these conversations with us, with each other. So next up on our agenda, we have urgency and campaign. So Liz and LeMay, take the floor.
Awesome. So good evening, everybody. I am Liz Filsko. I use she, hers pronouns, and I am the Vermont Renew State campaign organizer in Vermont. And these campaigns they're urgent now. COVID exposed the housing situation in both Vermont and New Hampshire and across the United States as being a precarious one. You cannot stay home and stay safe if you do not have permanent housing. And so, the COVID pandemic exposed the housing situation. It exposed that people have inadequate homes. If you don't have a job or if you don't have income, you can't necessarily pay for your housing. There are homes that are falling down around the people living in them. And renters and homeowners need weatherization, and they need help with that. And they need that now. We know that housing is a social determinant of health, and housing keeps people safe, it keeps people healthy, and in New England, it keeps people warm. We also know, because the pandemic exposed it, and this is not new, nor is the housing situation, that food insecurity is very real in Vermont. That, people in Vermont they're hungry and they don't necessarily have access to food. Let's see, Just Cause Eviction is one of our campaigns. We know from the housing crisis that or the COVID pandemic, both, that housing, it was a little safer in that people couldn't move, but we also know that discrimination in housing exists and people are removed from their housing due to frivolous reasons, nepotism, greed, and we don't think that that is what's best for Vermonters, for Granite Staters, and certainly for children and families. We also know in this moment, both nationally and locally, that our public schools are under attack, that there is an anti-critical race theory rhetoric that is being used as a cloak to push back against best practices of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's the new dog whistle. And it's on the heels of the Black Lives Matter movement. Let's see, public employee and schools, faculty, and staff pensions are now, not safe because of chronic underfunding. Let's see, our public school funding is complicated, it's unfair. There are so many crises right now. There's a climate crisis. Seattle is at temperatures that are not conducive to human life. I am going to stop there because I only have 2.5 minutes. I'm going to put in the chat a URL to our events calendar online so that everybody can get involved. And I'm going to pass it to LeMay.
All right, thank you so much, Liz. Yeah, so here in New Hampshire, and Vermont as well too, around healthcare specifically, we are working to end the vaccine apartheid. Essentially, the concept is that even though most of us in this chat room, or even a majority of us in these 2 states, have the vaccine, there are people in countries all around the world that might have to wait as late as 2024. So we are joining a national network of folks here for a meeting and to discuss about how we can push the Biden administration to waive the vaccine patent so that other countries can develop their own vaccines rather than waiting for the ones that have been developed and manufactured here. I'm going to put that in the chat because obviously, global health is important to everybody, whether or not we realize it. Here in New Hampshire, Kevin Pence has been taking the lead on the divisive concepts measure that unfortunately was passed in our budget last week, but the fight does not end there. We have activated hundreds of folks across the state who wanted to stand out and to fight against this attack on teaching the accurate history of America. And we need to make sure that we are ready to mobilize again when we have the opportunity to repeal this divisive concepts language. So I'll also put that in the chat as well, but you can reach out to Kevin Pence if you're in New Hampshire and you would like to organize around that. And I think Liz did everything else perfectly. So I'm just gonna toss it right back to our facilitator.
Thanks, LeMay.
Mhm.
So I want to make clear that was just a very quick appetizer of all of the different issues that we're working on. We have so many different issues in both Vermont and New Hampshire. Some of them span both housing justice, food justice, green justice zones, and climate. We're doing that in both states. But then we also have specific things in Vermont, like the parent organizing, and like in New Hampshire, healthcare organizing. There's so many great ways that you can actually plug in. And beyond just the number of different campaigns, there are a lot of great activities that we can take to plug in. So we want the summer engagement to be all of us meeting our communities where they're at. And that includes meeting you as volunteers where you're at. And we want to make sure that we have a lots of different kinds of activities that you feel comfortable with, both with what's going on with the pandemic, but also just with, as someone said earlier, like some people like to do door knocking less than others. And so we want to make sure that whatever activities you want to take part in are going to be a part of this, and that we have created a toolkit that we're going to continue to improve, that we're going to be sharing at the end of this call and in a follow-up email, and probably in 12 other emails that you keep getting from us, of ways that things that you can just take and do this summer community engagement. So the main ways that we've envisioned this thus far are door-to-door canvassing. So like we said, that's just like a structured approach to go knock on doors. We will be hearing shortly from Tom Labor, our field manager, about a great app on your phone that you can use to do door-to-door canvassing. We also have a way to do paperless, so people are afraid of apps, that can really make it really easy to do. And we can let people know which houses we want to hit, so we can make the best effort we can and really be as efficient as possible while we're out there doing doors. So that's the first activity. We're going to actually do some practice of what door-to-door sounds like later, but going, knocking on your neighbor's door, knocking a few streets over, and really talking about RAD, the campaigns and the Renews campaigns, and like they're all together. So Renews and RAD. The second thing that's kind of in our toolkit is tabling. Tabling is it takes a little more planning. You have to get a hold of an event, talk to them about if it's okay to have a table there. We have a lot more materials that you can bring if you're tabling. You can put a lot of different things out. We can work with you if you want to, take donations to get and give T-shirts out for RAD, or if you just want to bring information. We are, for everything, for door-to-door, for all of this, all of our materials have QR codes on them. They're those funny little like barcode boxes, and that way people can just run their phone camera over it basically, and then it'll pop up and they can sign up. So we have like contactless signups. If for some reason someone doesn't have their phone or doesn't feel comfortable with that, we can also just open up the same QR code on our phone and type in their information in the same place, and we can do that rather than using a pen and having any kind of contact. And not everybody is vaccinated, and we want to be as safe as possible. The third activity is also at events, but it's clipboarding. Basically, grab a clipboard, go to a farmer's market, go to a street festival, go somewhere that's already happening, and just chat with people. And on the clipboard, you'll have a few flyers. You can hand them out. Again, there'll be QR codes so folks can sign up for things, and you can just have conversations that way. For folks who don't want to be as much in public or want to have options to do things from home, we also have phone banking still. It's not in real life, but we always have a capacity for phone banks. And in fact, we're going to be having a bi-state phone bank every Wednesday night starting next Wednesday. New Hampshire's been doing Wednesday nights this spring. Vermont's been doing Thursday nights. We're going to put it all together for the summer and do one night of phone banking for both states. And would love to have you. You can come for a specific issue. You can just come because you want to make some calls and try it out. You can also, it's a great place to come and hear more about our campaigns. And and meet some of the organizers and other leaders who are working on this on these campaigns. So we'd love to have folks come to our phone banking, but also we're open to other ideas. You know, I see on this call, you know, a leader like Vicki Lamprun who lives in Bennington. If Vicki has an idea and says like, this is what we should be doing in Bennington, I want to hear that idea and we want to do that thing. We don't expect that just the ways that we want to reach out to people are the only ways. We want this to be as interactive as possible. We want to give you all the tools and support that you would need to be as successful as possible. So want to throw all of that out there. I do want to make sure that, you know, while we have everybody, we introduce people to some technology, the minivan app. And so Tom Labor is going to do a quick primer. It won't be a full training. If people want full training, we can do follow-up trainings, but a quick primer on the minivan app. Tom?
Thanks, Dan. Just like quick show of hands, has anybody like ever heard of minivan or maybe even used it because you've canvassed for like a presidential campaign or something? Something like that. I see some hands, see some thumbs up. Awesome. So the folks that have used it, I'm sure they can all attest to you. It's pretty easy and intuitive. It's kind of like a thing. If you can use Facebook, you can use this thing. It's great. So I'm just going to share my screen really quick. And be there in just a second. There we go. And I just need to make sure I share sound actually. There we go. So let me just jump into this. Cool. So just to kick it off, and just to show like a really quick video. So a little background. So minivan, in essence, is the mobile version of van in a way, which is what everyone's probably aware of what we use to kind of manage our member lists, how you manage like the voter file, and at the end of the day, it's a customer relations manager, consumer relations manager. Like, you know, different companies use them, but van's kind of the one that for the most part most people in the political world or the organizing world use. So this is their mobile version that allows you to do some data kind of entry as you're out canvassing, as we were talking about. So I'm just going to show a quick video. This is done by NGP Van, just like the first minute, and also this will be out in the toolkit as well, just the first minute that's relevant.
Hi there, my name's Katie, and I work with the product team. Let's talk about canvassing. So going door to door is the most effective way to engage with voters and supporters. But traditionally, it's taken tons of paper and hours of data entry. It also lacks the accountability that you need in a good field program. So now with Minivan and Minivan Manager, canvassing is paperless, it's accountable, and it's integrated with Van. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm working with the Organizers simply select a list and can send it to your smartphone. When the canvasser opens Minivan, the map will populate with target houses from your turf. Follow the script on the screen and plug in your answers as you go, feeding Canvas data back in real time to Van.
There we go. So that's like the really brief overview of like what it is and how it works. And I'm just going to go through a couple of slides here showing you what does the app look like. That way, if you download it from your app store, whether it be in the Google Play or iTunes store, that you're not like super intimidated by it. Don't want to keep playing. I want to go to the next slide. There we go. So yes, you can get this from the Apple Store or Google Play. I believe now we're up to Minivan 8, or actually no, I think they have like a new name for it, Minivan something. But if you just look up Minivan, you'll find this app. You'll basically see this little dot logo with the dot in the middle, like the dots around it. That'll be their little logo. You download that. It'll ask you to create an action ID. If you've phone banked with us, or if you have canvassed for a campaign before, like the folks who've raised their hand and used Minivan before, you have an action ID. If you don't remember it, you can do that lost password thing, create a new one, whatever you need to do. And it always prompts you to enable location services, because as you saw on the screen there, it does kind of hook up to maps just so that you know where you're going. But mainly you'll enter a list number. That's going to be the main thing. You won't be able to do much in Minivan without a list number. A list number, is a cut turf of a certain neighborhood of targeted people. That list number is entered here on this image on the right. It's a lot of numbers. It's I can't remember how many digits it is, but it'll be a block of numbers and a dash, and it's pretty easy to do. What's nice to just copy and paste and text that to somebody, and then they can just copy it, and you can just click paste right in that field. It'll enter it for you. Once you enter that, you'll be able to see some information about your list and about how many people are on it as well. I don't know what's going on here. There we go. So then when you load up that list, you'll just basically see it's a really clean app. It looks great. You'll see a nice view of these addresses, right? So like, for example, in this one, we're looking at 2700 Division Ave in Grand Rapids. It looks like an apartment building, for example, where it has these like this little build, it's kind of a building marked with 2 with 2 people there. So it sounds like there's probably 1 person at each unit. Now this one, Eola Street, looks more like a single family. So to the reason I know that by looking at that very quickly, these circles are people who are at that address. There are multiple different ways to look at your list. So the most efficient way is to definitely to look at it by address. That way you can navigate around and say, I'm at this address now. Now I know that there is 1 person here named Jeff, or there's 3 people here, and I'm trying to talk to at least one of them, hopefully, if not all of them. But as you can see on the right, if you kind of click this setting bar up in the top left on the right screen, you'll see there's a couple different ways to view your list. You can view it by people, which is really weird, just lays out every single person who's on the list. But if you're out canvassing, how do you find those people? It's kind of an interesting view. And then there's the map view, which you did see in the video, which is super helpful for getting your bearings when you are in a neighborhood you're not familiar with. And you're like, where is the street? How's the street? And then you end up walking down a dead end. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that. So it's really helpful to use that. And then one of the most other important things, so here's the map view and the person view. Like I said, person view is kind of weird, but the map view, extremely helpful. I usually start from that when I don't know a neighborhood at all. And when you click on each one of these map things that are popping up, it'll show you there's 3 people there. You can click on it, shows you the address. You can then click on that further. And it will take you to this image on the right where it's going to show people's names, their age, and any other potentially information we have about them. Like if it's apartment building, like it'll show the apartment unit. Then you'll see your script. Once again, folks who have Canvas or Phone Bank, you know the script is the biggest tool we use. It's the biggest tool in our toolbox, and it'll load up right on the screen there for you. That way, as we mentioned, it syncs right to Van, so you're able to enter all that data right there, whether or not this person was not home, refused you, maybe they're moved. And then that's if you're actually able to talk to the person, you can see right here. On the right side, the script will load right up. It's super easy to just click. And it's basically a lot of these are what they call like radio buttons, where you can just click. Very easy drop downs. It's a super intuitive app to use. You can see more details about each person if need be. To add notes, maybe you need to update an email address or a phone number. Super easy to just update everyone's information so that we can contact them in the future to let them know about stuff. And then the most important thing about this app that we'll talk to you when we do specific training on it, got to sync your data, sync your data, sync your data. That's how we make sure the data gets back to Van. And as you can see here, a little breakdown of like what your list looks like, and you'll get these nice colored, filled in color bubbles when you've completed talking to a person. But that's basically it for me. And that's a little overview of Minivan. And if you folks are curious to use it, and when you go to use it in the future, we'll make sure that you feel very comfortable using it. Like I said, I have never had a problem with it, and it's pretty intuitive to use. So thanks, y'all.
All right, we've talked through some of the activities and stuff, and given you a little bit of background. But the main part of what we want to do today is really think about the conversations that we're going to have. And so, to lead us through an activity to see some of those conversations is statewide campaign organizer from Vermont, Tom Proctor, and once again, LeMay.
Hello, good evening, folks. Thank you all so much for being here. I just want to acknowledge that right now. You're here because you really care about your communities and you care about seeing positive change in those communities. And I just want to say hats off to everyone here tonight, because it really does show that you care. So LeMay and I are going to do 3 different scenarios of some conversations you might have on the door. Now, no conversation is the same, and I'm sure many people on this call have canvassed before, and I'm sure that you know that things don't often sit into nice little pretty examples. But we're going to try and give 3 examples of people you may come up against and the sort of conversations you're going to have. But at the same time, we're going to try and stick to the script that we've created in order to get the point we've got across, and try and get people to sign up for campaigns or just sign up for Rights and Democracy in general in case they're interested. So we're going to start out with myself being the canvasser. and LeMay is going to be the person whose door we've knocked on. And after our first example, I would love it if anyone could give us feedback. If you put your hand up, or if you have any particular notes, we would love to hear a little bit of feedback, and then we'll move on to that next example. Okay, LeMay, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. I was born ready.
All right. Knock, knock, knock.
Oh, hello.
Hi, is this LeMay?
Yeah, it is.
Hey, LeMay, this is Tom Proctor. I'm working with Rights and Democracy in Vermont. We're out in the community today, checking in with one another and talking to some folks about some of the campaigns we're working on this year. But first and foremost, just honestly, how are you doing? This is obviously, it's been a weird time for everyone.
Got me real with you. I'm tired right now, but you know, I'm here.
Yeah, I can certainly attest to that. I think just during COVID, during lockdown, it's almost like we've become busier, even though we've had more time. It's kind of this weird juxtaposition. I know for myself, I've just been super drained. Has that been the case of you as well?
Yeah, I'm working from home these days, and you know, I'm just in front of my computer a lot, you know, whether it's for work or, you know, when I go and play, you know, Netflix after, anything like that. It does kind of feel like I'm glued to one position here.
Yeah, and it can be like super isolating as well. I've got family across in England, so you might be able to tell from the accent. But you know, the COVID crisis is still it's still raging, or at least not raging, but everyone's still very much in lockdown over there, and it's been difficult having people I love, you know, being so far away from me and not being able to speak to them. It's I don't know if you've shared the same kind of issues.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. And yeah, I think I worry most about, you know, my friends and neighbors. You know, it's been easy enough for me, but you know, I kind of worry about everyone else in my community sometimes.
Yeah, what's been going on with your friends and neighbors? Are they okay? Do they have everything they need?
Yeah, you know, it just sometimes it feels like we're all kind of hanging on by a shoestring here, though.
Well, I know it's been like a super difficult time because, you know, a lot of people are out of work, and it sounds like you're really connected with the community. Because we're with Rights and Democracy, we're a group, a political group in fairness, but we have lots of links to mutual aid groups and links to help you can get from state government. Is there anything that you feel like you or your neighbors could do with at this time, and you could probably do if you need like numbers or people to reach out at all?
No, I think all my friends, I think I'm pretty much all set here. But one thing I've been really into lately is community gardening. I grew up with not so food secure, and we were able to subsist a little bit off of the garden that we would have in the backyard. But I worry about those folks that maybe aren't lucky enough to have a backyard to grow a garden in.
Yeah, food security has been a real major issue, and not just in COVID, but as you said, like way prior before then. It's great that you've been involved in community gardens, though. Have you managed to get some of that produce out into the wider community?
Well, not quite yet. I got a couple friends that are interested, but I just don't really know how to actually spread the word, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, and one thing this pandemic's done is really pull back the curtain on this larger crisis, and it's shown a lot of these systems are broken. And obviously, you got things there that you want to share, and you're just trying to figure out ways to kind of share it with your wider community. Obviously, you're coming up with solutions yourself to improve the lives of the people around you, and this has been obviously a very trying time for our state, for our country. And it's those solutions that you're coming up with that our community needs. Do you feel that the government and the state has really kind of been stepping in and doing what they need to do in this moment?
Not really, no.
Yeah, definitely share that concern. Especially with food justice. I mean, we kind of keep trying to keep our ears to the ground on that, but it doesn't seem for us that there's a lot being done in terms of food justice. Has anyone ever come through and kind of touched base with you or reached out in terms of how to get food out into the wider community?
No.
Well, here at Rights and Democracy, we do want to be creating a community-led solutions that work for all of us. As a organization right now, we are demanding that our community voices are heard at a statewide level. And that means having the resources we need and community-driven solutions, like the fact you're making community farms in your area. So 3 things we're focusing on right now are housing justice, food justice, and this radical form of participatory budgeting called green justice zones. I probably could guess, but which out of those 3 excites you the most?
Oh, you know, I love my community gardening. Sounds like food justice is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like that's the sort of track that you'd probably be best suited towards. Well, not only are we trying to collect stories like yours that we can then bring to the State House to show them exactly what we need, we're also trying to, meet in groups and basically campaign plan around a large food justice policy that we're trying to push right now. Can we uplift your story in order to build that narrative, in order to push these important policies, especially around food?
Oh, well, you know, I never really thought about that before. But yeah, I think I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, it really makes a difference. And this is the sort of language our representatives actually do listen to. Additionally, we're also building relationships with our community. I want to see, would you be down for maybe talking to an organizer at some point to have a longer conversation about the work that you're doing in your community garden and how that can kind of work with our food justice campaign?
Oh yeah, I think that'd be great.
That's wonderful. Tell you what, we want to try and be COVID friendly right now as possible. We can see that I'm 6 feet away from you. So is it possible if I just quickly get your number and your email address, and we'll make sure someone follows up with you?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Wonderful. And I get Brandon's number. LeMay, this has been a really great conversation. Thank you so much. And we're going to make sure that someone follows up with you really soon so we can give you more details on this food justice campaign. And also, most importantly, get that story about what you've been doing in your community garden so we can make sure that that story is uplifted.
All right, heck yeah.
Wonderful.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Nice to meet you too, LeMay. Thank you. All right, so that is example number 1 of how a conversation can go on the door. Does anyone have any points or feedback or anything that stood out for them that was interesting? Oh, Alison, I see you got your hand raised.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that you really zeroed in on LeMay's community garden interest and then like connecting the food justice campaign back to that instead of like trying to draw the thread the other way and bring him into whatever the campaign is focusing on right now, regardless of whether community gardening like fits neatly into it. And I noticed that you also didn't go in the direction of talking about like particular legislative bills that are being tracked or anything. You kept it really kind of like grounded in foundational values and that relationship building instead of getting like into the wonky discussion points.
Yeah, thanks for that input, Alison. Obviously, you're going to get to people on the doors that really want to dig into those details, and oftentimes you're not going to have those details as canvassers who aren't involved in this full time. So keeping those things kind of high level and light and connecting is really important. Thanks for that feedback. That's great. Anything else from anyone? All right. Well, see Anne just came off.
No, I was thinking like, what would you do with a conversation where they were sort of interested, but kind of were like, okay, cut to the chase. I don't have, 15 minutes or something for a conversation, but like, suppose they just kind of want to know what you're doing there. Like, can you give an example of it? How that could be speeded up, but still, engage the person to the level that you did.
Yeah, tell you what, let's do that again real quickly. And someone's, they've got no time, but they are interested, and see how that goes. LeMay, do you want to take lead on this, or shall I?
Ooh, I think let's go, since it's your script. How about, and this is a curveball, how about I be the person who's canvassed?
Okay.
If that's okay.
Knock, knock, knock.
Hello, I got dinner going on the stove right now. What's up?
Oh, absolutely no problem. Hi, I'm Tom. I'm with Rights and Democracy. We're out in the community today, checking in with one another. talk to folks about some of the campaigns we're working on. So we're just kind of going around the neighborhood and really talking about what's been going on in the past 18 months for them and some of the campaigns that we're championing at the moment.
Oh, okay. Hi.
So first and foremost, have you heard about Rise and Democracy?
I don't think I've heard about them. Who are they?
So we are a progressive organization that pushes for progressive policy in Vermont and New Hampshire. And we have a number of campaigns going on at the moment regarding food justice, climate justice, and also housing justice as well. Any of these campaigns are sort of things that you're interested in?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of interested in all of them, but I'm not really sure. And, it's been kind of a really long day today,
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And this has actually been a really difficult time for a lot of us, and we all seem to be pulled in different directions at once. I tell you what, as it seems like you do seem to be interested in these kind of things, can I get your email down and number real quick, and we can check in with you in another time when you got maybe a little bit more time to spare?
Yeah, I got Tuesdays off. Yeah, so if you give my information, yeah, I would have a lot more time to chat right then. Thank you. Sorry, dinner, take care of the kids and stuff,
Yeah, that happens for sure. So I'm just going to take down your information real quick, and I'll let you get on your way.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So I'll be honest with you, Anne, was a bit off the cuff on that one, and I don't think I would have approached it in exactly the same ways. I was asking some yes or no questions there, and that often is an opportunity for people on the door to say no to you. But if someone is busy, it's actually better to continue going through the script. And if they really are busy, they'll try and shut it down, and then you can skip right to that end of, hey, can we get those details off you? And we can check in at a different time. But yeah, the curveball threw me a little bit there, Anne, but always best not to ask yes or no questions. And if someone does push that they are really busy, just skip right to that end where you get those details.
Yeah, and if I can add too, so Tom, I really like that you exposed your, the fact that sometimes I've been knocking doors for years and years, and sometimes I go to a door and I'm just like, I didn't do that in the best way possible, but you just do it better at the next door. I thought it was really good, and yeah, when someone says I'm busy, you just go, okay, I'll be really quick, and then just go off on your tangent anyway. And you also really did try hard to uncover my self-interest. I was being a little stonewall-y kind of there, but he was able to get his foot in the door and be like, listen, let's talk when it works best for you. So I think he did a really good job.
Very generous, LeMay. I can see Dan seething in the corner. He's the person who taught me how to canvas, and I can. my tutor is here myself.
You did well, Tom. You did well. Any conversation that happens is a good conversation.
Very true. So we've got two more scenarios. Just need to do a time check real quick.
I think it's close to time for the pairing. I don't know if you want to do a quick scenario or maybe talk through some of the different things you've been hearing on the doors.
So yeah, on the doors, the things that I've been hearing especially is a few things that have actually been brought up a lot in these conversations already at the very beginning of what you want to hear from a canvasser. A lot of people want to know what actually is being done. I think COVID check-ins are really very important, and I think it's really important to start with that to make sure people are in that emotional space ready to be able to speak, and also are okay with you being on the doorstep. I think a few people have mentioned that they're not still 100% confident with where they are with COVID, but I do feel that a lot of people do want to know kind of what the plan is, because it does feel that there's not been a plan so far. But I think in terms of that, saying that we are working towards these different campaigns and there is a plan, love to speak to you more and more details and get that information, and then organizers can then follow up and kind of provide more of that structure. But yeah, that's definitely been the thing I've been hearing most on the doors.
Yeah, I just want to trail off that too. And what Tom really demonstrated well in that first scenario was that he had a real conversation with me, and he was trying to connect and respond to what I was saying. And a lot of that conversation is just being a genuine human being and connecting with them.
Well, I think that's about time. We did have two other examples, but I feel like we are kind of going over a bit here. So I'm going to pass the baton over to, I believe it's our facilitator, Dan.
Oh. Yeah, I think, Dahlia, are you setting up I am technologically setting up these breakout rooms, but are you setting up the breakout rooms right now?
I wasn't aware that I
It's
was.
totally fine. It's totally fine. So we are going to do breakout rooms. We're going to have people paired up. I think because of the numbers, there'll be one group of 3. I put an organizer in with 2 folks, so that organizer can just watch and give some good feedback. I will just, I think folks should really just try to have a conversation and just like feel through some of the stuff they heard from Tom. I will post the script as we have it right now in the thing. Tom, is the script in the toolkit the right script?
Let me just double check.
Before I post it. While he's looking for that, so we're going to have groups of 2. We're going to have 20 minutes, so 10 minutes for each person to practice being the canvasser, and you can give each other feedback, and then we'll do a round of big group feedback at the end of it. And as soon as we verify the script, we will throw that in the chat. But I would say, you know, we definitely want you to look at it at some point, but I think you just did. So I think the real thing that we want is for folks to just practice having the conversations. You might start and stop. You might not know everything to say. It's totally fine. It's better to get that practice done here in this role-playing setting and get a little more comfortable rather than when you're actually on someone's door. So we'll open the rooms now and we'll see everybody in 20 minutes. Welcome back. We'll wait for everyone to join us. I think there's another 15 seconds or so, and we'll start seeing everybody. Welcome, Lorraine. Saw you sneak in partway through the meeting. Glad you're here.
Computer issues.
Oh, the bane of all of our existence. Welcome back, everybody. I think we are all back. So want to take a few minutes and hear about the lessons learned and good things that happened and any questions we have. So want to start with all of your roles as getting canvassed. Love to hear some people who someone said something or did something to them as a canvasser that you were like, yes, this was great. This is what I want to hear. So lift up some of those positive conversation stories. Does anyone want to start?
I can start. I don't know if we're like raising our hands or like just speaking, but
Go
I can
for it,
start.
Dahlia.
Okay. I don't know. The question was like, what do you appreciate? Like what canvassers like do?
In the practice you just did, is something that the person you were working with said or did that you really appreciated or
Yeah.
a moment?
Yeah, I worked with Irene and I feel like it's really easy to when you're like when you're seeing someone like canvas something to you or whatever, you're the canvassee, you're receiving the canvas and it's really easy to just see them as like just a representative, a person from an organization or something that has like a goal, is like trying to get something out of you. But it's like I feel like when they level with you and then they share something like personal or just like really, I don't know, speak in a very empathetic and like understanding way that's like, oh yes, hi, I'm a real person, I swear. I feel like, yeah, Irene did that in our session and I really appreciated that. So yeah.
Great job, Irene. Other folks?
I was going to share, I was with Wendy Thomas, right, Wendy? I can't, she's muted and I can't see her face. I'm not sure it was Wendy, but I appreciate that she story told from a personal point of view of her experience with her own well and having to bring water in because her well is poisoned. So, you know, that kind of thing I think hits home, and it's the storytelling, I think, that really connects us.
Awesome. Allison? Oh, good job, Wendy.
Yeah, when Lynn was canvassing me, I hedged a little bit at the end and was like, I don't know, like I'm really busy. I don't know how much time I'll be able to. And she said, well, you know, it can be based on your own comfort. And just hearing like your own comfort, hearing the word comfort was comforting to me, even just in my pretend role. And so I really liked that. It made me feel at ease with the idea of someone following up with me and potentially making an ask of me to do something more.
Awesome. Great job, Lynn. Any others?
I didn't get Canvas or was a canvassee, but I really wanted to just lift up Traven's, something that Traven did that I thought was really effective and really important. Traven brought back the conversation when it was asked, like, what do RAD do? How can this be effective? Traven brought it back to his personal experience with RAD as a RAD activist and how we have been effective in the past. And that these campaigns that we're working on now can be effective like the previous campaigns be effective. And the issues that the person that he was talking to, Vicky, was facing can improve based on the campaigns that we are championing. And I thought that was really effective because I think so often we feel that there is no one kind of on our side and even the people who are on our side can't affect change. And I think it was really important to bring it round to no, we can actually get stuff done if we all work together.
Great. Now think to your roles as actual canvassers. Was there a moment in the conversation where it just felt really good or something that was a challenge that you were really happy that you got over? Any moments like that in the role play?
Well, I mean, for me, it would be just really kind of familiarizing myself with the basic gist of the script ahead of time and just not feeling like I'm trying to look at my phone and wondering what I should say and really hear the person. I feel like it's hard to be looking at something and actually hearing someone. So to me, the important thing would be to familiarize myself with it and be comfortable, like sort of deviating and coming back to it. I mean, I'm familiar with like other kinds of minivan scripts that are more candidate based and specific ask based, and it's a little bit different. You really do have to listen and in order to draw the person in. And so that, I think, just like know what your tools are and familiarize yourself, and then don't lean on them too heavily when you're actually trying to have a real heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And feeling like the script isn't a script, but it's just like, you know, what outcomes you want from the conversation and you just have the conversation.
Yeah.
That's definitely where you want to get to. That's why we do role play, to help people get a little closer to that. Lynn?
So Allison, she asked me a question. I used the term action and she said, what is an action? I thought, you know, it'd be really helpful for me to kind of think about the language I use and not use language that other people are going to understand. That's more conversational rather than our jargon. So that was really helpful.
Great. Any other moments? Are there any burning questions that came out of the role play that folks want to, we have about 3 minutes left. If folks want to voice them, we can try to at least write them down, if not answer them right here. Go ahead, Lorraine.
One of the things that was brought up, Wendy had vocalized, was their concern over Delta, the variant, and feeling safe, because one of the things, certainly during COVID, was the word came down to not canvas. So at what point do we discuss that and thoughts about it? And
yeah, so in the toolkit, we have some criteria for what you should be doing to canvas. You know, we are still, if folks need them, provide like disposable masks for folks if they're more comfortable that way, hand sanitizer, things like that, so that we're just being as safe as people want. We are definitely heavily suggesting that folks that are doing canvassing be vaccinated already for their own health and safety. And you know, we're also, you know, heavily suggesting that our staff is the same. And I think that we are continually working both on a national level with our national partners and looking at state numbers and the healthcare websites on the state level to obviously reassess when we would want to close in-person activities again. It'll be less jarring than the first time because the first time it was like nothing we'd ever experienced before, and now we have a lot more experience. But that is something we'll keep looking at. And again, we want to keep a menu of options. So that way, if you're not comfortable with doors, but you are with events or vice versa, or you want to just do phones, like which you don't actually have contact with anyone at all, like we can do all those different things and really make it where everyone's comfort level is being respected. Allison?
Yeah, so both Lynn and I struggled a little bit with the activist urgency section because where our conversations went, it didn't feel natural to weave in the two questions that are there. And so I was just wondering, like in the minivan, it seemed like you were gonna have to click through each thing in order to move on to the next thing. And I was wondering, like, is it gonna be each of these? Like, what if the conversation doesn't feel like it is appropriate to ask a question, but you have to answer it in the minivan to move on to the next thing?
I will definitely bring that to Tom Labor, who has jumped off the call, but I know that there are ways to circumvent that so it's not completely like you have to go one to the other. There's ways to get to notes, there's ways to get to other things without answering all the questions. So I'll double check with Tom on that and make sure that that's clear in the training, more training we do with minivan.
Yeah.
Vicky's got her hand up real quick.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Vicky.
Hey, thanks. So, my brain, what do you call when you use letters to represent a word or an organization, like
Acronym.
RAD?
Acronym.
Thank you.
Yep.
Acronyms are really bad for me because I can never remember what they mean. So I think it's really important that when we're canvassing and we're the ones doing the door knocking, that we don't use the term RAD because we're used to it. Just my little 2 cents.
Thanks. Anne, what last question before we have to move on?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about, like, are there different levels of asks that we have for people? Say, I imagine that like a canvassing, you have many varieties of canvassing door conversations, whereas if you're tabling and somebody's walking up to you, maybe that's a slightly different kind of conversation. So if you're canvassing somebody who is sort of nice and politely listening to you, but not super engaged, is it good to get their, contact information to like be able to let them know more about this, as opposed to someone who's going to be actively engaged in a group of people working on an issue? Like, do you have different levels of like, here's a petition you can sign if you're interested versus, can one of our organizers talk to you? Is that, do you have a variety of options for people's level of interest?
Yeah, there will be, and all of the handouts will have QR codes. So like the most basic thing you can do is hand some, leave a flyer at their door or show them and they can QR code and sign up for something. And if you realize that like they're not really engaging and you don't want to go through the whole conversation, you may still want to go through the conversation just to get to know them and hear a perspective that's different, because we are trying to have meaningful conversations, but you'll be able to make that decision on the door. So I'm going to pass it off for our last section, the next step section of the agenda, to Sophie Bodnar. We're running only 2 minutes late, which is sometimes a miracle in meetings like this. So, but Sophie, take the time you need to do this last section.
Okay, great. I was just, my internet was just unstable. So whatever, we'll figure it out if that happens. Okay, what a night. Glad that you were all with us. Glad that we had the opportunity to go through these different pieces. This last section is just to share some next steps. I have a toolkit that I'm gonna put in the chat for all of you. And don't worry, we're gonna follow up with an email with this link again. But if you open up the link I just posted, that will bring you to a folder that's called 2021 Summer Engagement Toolkit. In there, we have flyers with information about our different campaigns. We have minivan canvassing toolkit, so the thing that Tom Labor went over with us, door-to-door guide, talking points about campaigns for when you're in those conversations with folks, just to like prep yourself for those conversations. tabling information, it's all in there. I will say, if you are using this and you say like, wait, there's something that should be in here that isn't, please just don't hesitate to tell us. We're always open to ideas. So familiarize yourself with that toolkit. Let us know if there's something that we're missing in there. Also wanted to highlight that we have some exciting summer engagement days of action. So please save the dates. I'm going to put this in the chat. We have, okay, and there's more information that's going to be coming about what these days of action are going to be all about. But the idea is that we're going to be, on these specific days, we're going to have like a mini launch. We're going to have some sort of culminating like Zoom experience, and then send you all off on your way into your local communities to be having conversations, just to sort of bring some rah-rah spirit into our canvassing, so it's not so isolating. We also have a debrief action form, which I'm realizing is not in the toolkit. It will be in the toolkit, but this is really a form that you can fill out after your summer engagement activity. I'll link it in the chat right now, but we'll add it to the toolkit very soon. But basically, it's an opportunity for you to double check, did you sync? It's an opportunity for you to share with us some highlights from your experience, to post some like questions that you have from your experience. Because basically we want to be in conversation with all of you. Some of you may be seasoned canvassers, some of you may be doing this for the first time. We want to stay in contact and hear what it's like for you to be having these conversations in your communities. And with that said, we are so available for follow-up one-on-ones or group trainings. We want you all to feel confident and really excited to be doing this work. So we are available for that. Last bit is some Dan is copying and pasting, I see in the doc, some exciting upcoming events, some of which already have been talked about. Tuesday, July 6th, the End Vaccine Apartheid from 6 to 7 p.m. We've also got a bi-state engagement phone banks that are happening every Wednesday. So you want a phone bank, you can join with Vermont and New Hampshire. Do you have an immediate question, Allison? I'm seeing your, oh, cool, no worries. On Thursday, July 8th, there's New Hampshire Women in the Economy Forum happening in Manchester, New Hampshire. Thursday, July 8th, we have the Race Class Academy with Esma El-Houni, Kaya Morris, and Mia Schultz. And then on Saturday, July 24th, we have the Medicare for All rally that's happening in Manchester, New Hampshire. So those are just some highlights of some exciting upcoming events. Hope that you can make it to some of these. And I think that's, I'm gonna need to have a drink of water after all of that. I think that's it.
I just had a kind of foundational logistical question, which is, are RAD staff planning any canvases that you're hoping people will join onto, or are you looking to leaders to kind of propose times and get in touch with you to find out like when we can put something together in our communities?
Yes and yes. I think the days of action we're gonna be more specific on times in those 3 dates. We're also going to be checking in with chapters and other folks who have shown interest to try to get their own dates that make sense. I mean, I know I think it's next Wednesday or Thursday in Jericho, we're going to have a member from the Essex chapter out at the farmers market already. So we're like, both those opportunities, we're hoping to put as many of those opportunities into our days of action Facebook events so people can see things going on, plug in their own stuff, get more volunteers. So there'll be a little bit of both, but if you have ideas in your community, we'd love for you to bring them to us. We'll help you in every way we can to make sure that they're successful. And with that, I want to thank everyone for being on the call tonight. We have recorded this conversation so we can go back to it and check some of it out again, especially Tom and LeMay's great role play earlier. And you'll be getting a follow-up email, more information, and don't hesitate to reach out to any of the RAD staff that you know, or if for some reason you don't know a RAD staff member and you're here and you need some help, My email is in the chat, dan@radvt.org. Happy to do, help you, push you in the right direction and help you as much as possible. So thanks all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.